I don't know about you, but I'm living on top of the world.
Greetings, everyone. This is Donna, and I'm back with my review of Greenleaf Season 1, Episode 11, Men Like Trees Walking. Wow, we only have 2 more episodes left, and we still have a lot of unanswered questions. There are also some conspiracy theories out there that I want to explore. And, of course, I want to give a recap of this episode. There is a lot going on. But before I get into my recap, let me acknowledge my subscribers. Thank you for being faithful. Thank you for voting. Thank you for sending me comments and encouraging me. Please share the video with anyone that likes Greenleaf, and I'm hoping to also have additional content up soon. There's some things that are causing delays in production for me, but I'm praying that they will all work out, and I'll be able to do some more production. I also want to acknowledge 2 new subscribers. We have Miss Reed and Charlene Vigni. Thank you for both for subscribing. I plan on having more content up soon. I do apologize for a delay, but I need to get over this hurdle first, and then I'll be able to do more. So, with all that said, and with all the love given, and I also want to shout out to Watch Care members that may watch this review and simply not vote or subscribe. Thank you for watching as well. Now, on to the review. So we've got like 8 different scandals that this church has been hit with. You had 2 audits. You had, Jacob being disciplined for infidelity. You had Bishop doing the controversial hosting of Back to Blue. You had Charity hiring the litigious and the openly gay Carlton C. Cruz. You have 2 shootings. The first shooting was Marlon Collins shooting David Nelson. Then you had shooting among church leadership, Bishop shooting Robert McCready. And of course, the fallout from that is, Robert McCready is this serial sexual molester who is, been using the church's money to pay the people off. And you have Grace and Noah's one night of passion that leads to Noah not getting married because Isabel finds out, but we don't know how widespread that one was. And also Alexia returns this episode with her lawyer in tow and is suing for unlawful termination. So you have all that going on. So now that you can appreciate where our current environment is, let's talk about this episode. It picks up a month after the second shooting. We see a weak and vulnerable bishop who is giving an underwhelming presence and performance, or delivery I should say, of the sermon. And you have less than a tenth of his original parishioners, and as he is attempting to deliver his sermon, people are getting up and walking out. Then he attempts to sing, and that increases the volume of people walking out, and you can see that his breathing is labored, he is sweating, he's sitting in his chair on the pulpit. The congregation is the sanctuary rather is empty, and you see he's trembling or his hands are shaking. So we don't know if he's having impact from whatever this undisclosed illness is that he suffers from, or whether or not this is, some type of panic attack. Alright, so Deacon Connie Sites is basically approaching him and saying, look, bottom line is we need a new face. You're too closely connected to some of the controversy. Reinstate Jacob. Fred and Misty are a proponent for him to return back to the pulpit. And he's like, absolutely not. You guys complained about him for years, and now you want to restore him. And she says, yeah, but maybe we just need a new face on this thing. So if it's not going to be him, then let it be Grace. Because at least with Grace, when Grace preached, we got the most tithes and offerings of any Sunday this year. So he's like, absolutely not. It's a storm. We'll get past it. And he moves on. There's an unexpected visit from Alexia. She's got her lawyer with her. They're basically suing for wrongful termination because she's saying that she was terminated for, having sex with his son. But basically throughout the conversation, they basically try to imply that Bishop and Alexia also were engaging in extramarital affair activities. So that's what most people perceived it as, because he goes to talk about their relationship, and the lawyer saying and then you see Alexia put her head down in shame. So pretty much she's a loosey-goosey, and if you do a little more research, you might find a whole bunch of people she hasn't slept with. So therefore they may be able to get out of that particular predicament because of her behavior, but we don't know yet. Basically Bishop says, look, I need a little time to secure a lawyer because we're in between lawyers. And as they are exiting, here comes Jacob, and Bishop greets his son, and Miss Phillips, which is Pat Phillips is the name of the lawyer, she says, oh, I've heard a lot about you. And he's trying to figure out, well, I don't know anything about you. She gives him her card, and then here comes Alexia showing her face. She never says anything to Jacob, and she just goes by him. And so he's like, are we being sued? And the bishop said, yeah, they're threatening a lawsuit. But you know what this is with Alexia. Remember, basically Jacob played her like he was really into her, loved her, and wanted to be with her and stuff. And then when everything hit the fan and she was terminated and he was under disciplinary action, he left her alone. And then he wound up falling back in love with his wife, which was a good thing, but everything he promised her, of course, went to the side. So she's angry. She feels like the jilted lover. And then the bishop just seems like he's upset because he ain't included in the lawsuit. And I'm like, this is crazy. Anyhow, and they're talking about Jaguar size amount. Like, they were talking in terms of cars. Like, is this going to be a Civic? Is this going to be a Buick? And she said Jaguars are nice. So they're looking to settle. Now, what they said is like, look, we're willing to keep this out the news. We know that you've gotten a lot of bad press. So what we'll do is if we can settle on this amount, we'll be okay. And, no one, it doesn't have to be publicized. But we'll go that route if it's necessary. So they're trying to take advantage of this weakened Calvary state. Jacob and Bishop are talking, and basically Jacob is really saying, look, Dad, in lieu of everything that's happening, let me come back and help and, take some of the load off of you, so that, we can get back on our feet. And Bishop says, absolutely not. He said, I'm doing this out of love for you. Man, you don't aspire to this, and I'm never going to restore you back. Go out and live out your life dream. And so, they hug it out. It's like it's no animosity between them. But, you know, Jacob is a bit frustrated because he's like, okay, I'm never being reinstated. So I need to find other options. So he's looking in other states, but Carissa's like, I don't want to move. I just got this school up and running. It took me 5 years to do this. And so he said, well, my only other option is to go to Pastor Skanks. And she's like, I don't think you should do that, but you know, you're going to do what you want to do. Go ahead. And that's what he does. He basically goes play b-ball with Pastor Skanks. And, you know, when Pastor Skanks first see him, he said, don't tell me you're here looking for a job, which is what Jacob was actually there to look for. So they're talking through this game. And Pastor Skanks, of course, is, you know, kind of making him grovel for it in a way. But the bottom line was, set up a conference with your father, you and myself. Let's all talk about this. And if your father agrees, then we'll see what we can do. So Jacob goes back to his father and tells him what he did. And of course, Bishop is furious, but he's like, sure, fine, set it up. So I believe that's going to happen next week. Okay, in other news, Lady May and Bishop are celebrating their 44th wedding anniversary. And at a time that this would be a milestone for them to celebrate in their marriage, they're at odds. Well, at least Lady May is at odds with Bishop, because she's upset that she doesn't know what power Robert has over the bishop. What is he holding over Bishop's head? And Bishop will not disclose it to Lady May. So she's basically, you know, being cold towards him, you know, to teach him the error of his ways, I guess. And, you know, he tells Corinne, hey, you know, get some flowers, have them delivered tomorrow because it's my 44th wedding anniversary. Flowers get delivered, Lady May's like, where did these come from? And she totally forgot about their wedding anniversary because she's in her funk. And, you know, Corinne says, it's your 44th anniversary. Did he select the wrong day? And she says no. She looks at the card and it actually makes her smile. But because she insists on being a bitter puss, that's what happens. She throws the card aside like, huh, whatever. So to really make matters worse, and she decides to dispose of the flowers, and she makes sure that she does it in Corinne's recyclable receptacle. And so when the bishop comes out at the end of the day, he sees the flowers there, and of course that hurts him. And he comes home looking for her, and she doesn't seem to be anywhere around. And then he receives this call from Robert, and Robert's talking about, do you believe in hell? And he's like, what are you talking about? What are you calling me for? Like, really, dog? Like, are we doing this right now? And, I mean, what's the issue? Like, you've been in church leadership for all this time, and you're now want to discuss hell. You've been, okay. And he's, you know, Bishop says, I don't believe necessarily in the hell that's written in the Bible, but you know, this is my take on it. He shares his view. And, you know, basically Robert's looking for a way out. And he almost appears to be suicidal. So that's one of my questions. Do you think Robert's suicidal? I didn't really get that. I mean, I got the brokenness and neediness that Robert was showing. Like, he feels all alone. He feels abandoned. His only family, his only friends is Lady May and Bishop in the church, and he's lost all that. So was this just a need for human interaction? Is he depressed? I mean, he was reading his Bible. Excuse me. And I mean, he should know that, well, if you go before the Father and repent, you can be forgiven, and you may avoid that whole hell thing altogether. But there was something missing for me. I didn't really, it's not ringing in for me right now. If you have any comments on that, please write them below. Okay, so let's get back on track here. We'll talk about Lady May some more. So they're having a meeting with talking about the Women's Day. And, because of the financial situation, Miss D and the Deacon Board haven't signed off on the paperwork to pay for the Peabody Ballroom. And Lady May doesn't want to let go of the tradition of having the service there, and she pays for it out of her pocket, and she rebukes Carissa for her behavior during the meeting. And later, she fires Melise, and the way she does it is that she uses the scholarship money, gives her the scholarship for nursing, and gives her a check as severance, and says, your recent behavior has indicated to me that you're not happy in your position. So I was unsure of how to help you, and this application helped me to know how to help you. And that's how she got her walking papers. Grace and Darlene have understood that they are being left out of things, and Grace is trying to smooth things over by offering an apology that Bishop refuses to accept. And he says, look, you would think about your own way without thinking about how it would impact me or this church, and I wasn't asking not to put Robert away, even though that's how it sounded at the time. Like, we don't need the police, we can handle this amongst ourselves. I mean, you make that type of statement, that means that, oh, well, wait a minute. Now, it's been 20 years, and now I've done presented you with the proof. But needless to say, he's saying, look, the bond that we share from the time of your birth is so badly frayed now, I don't think we can ever get it back. So he is no longer Team Gigi. And it looks like because she failed to do things his way, his love has totally changed towards her. And that's really sad, and it hurt her tremendously. So, is that relationship repairable? Tell me what you think. Write it below. Grace gets served. You got served. She gets served for custody papers by Ray. He's fighting for custody. Darlene sets her up with Mike Carpenter, and the character the person that plays Mike Carpenter is a character that's familiar to most people because he also plays in If Loving You Is Wrong as Quan. His name is Dewan Owens, and he is playing Grace's lawyer. And so it's through their dialogue that we learn more about Ray. Ray was a chef when they met. They dated. The relationship was fine, but he cheated. They broke up. It was after the breakup she found out she was pregnant. She informed him of the pregnancy. He then wanted to get married to her and say he made a mistake. She didn't want that, so they did a custody agreement. And she is in violation of the custody agreement. So there might be a little challenge there. Now, Sophia wants to stay with her mom, but she doesn't like being placed in the middle. She doesn't like the fact that she would have to go into the court and say, I want to stay with my mom, and, potentially hurt her father. And so she's angry at Grace for how she's handled the situation. So Grace needs a shoulder to lean on. Who else can she lean on but Noah? So now we find her in Noah's quarters, and they're drinking wine, soft music playing, lights dim low. But, she's like, I'm sorry, all I can offer you is my brokenness. And he's like, I really don't want anything else from you. And she's like, what? And he explains it. He says, all that you are is good enough for me. And then they kiss, and she realizes, okay, let me back up. Let me take myself on home. But I'm upset with Noah because it's like, are you burning the candle at both ends? Because last week you had an agreement with Isabel that you were going to stay separated, but you guys are still together, just needed, time apart. And then when she came back from school break, you guys were going to reassess and see what you were going to do about your relationship, because what you had was too much to throw away. And if you didn't want her at that time, Noah, then what you should have said is that, you know what, baby, we ain't even got to go through all this. I don't want to be with you. I mean, just man up and say what you need to say. But it seems like you want to have Grace and then you want to have Isabel. And I just really feel like he's toying with Isabel's emotions. And sometimes, where he was so cold to Grace last week, this week he is more friendly, and now he wants to be kissy and huggy. Like you are just, exhibiting the same bipolarness that Isabel exhibits at times. It's like she was kissing him, and then the next thing you know, she smacks him, and it's like, okay, what kind of crap is that? Like you didn't switch channels that quick. But so there wasn't anything real exciting about that. It's just that it seems like he's not keeping his word to Isabel. And, a lot of people keep talking about how loosey-goose Grace is. Granted, she's in the wrong too, but she's not the one that was in the relationship or about to get married. He was. And he should have, when she tried to stop and walk away, he pulled her back. He wanted that. And then he had the nerve to try to act like he was mad at her for potentially telling Isabel about it. Whatever. I don't have time. Too much drama. Anyhow, Sophia's struggling because she feels inadequate in her Bible study class. But what winds up happening is that the instructor shares with her or encourages her to share her thoughts, and she actually does a great job in analyzing. She had a natural ability to analyze this particular scripture, and she received some horrid remark from Quentin, one of her classmates, about she doesn't raise her hand because she's afraid her uncle might slip his hand under her skirt. And the instructor dealt with that, but it was just rude. And I'm glad that, she didn't just haul off and smack him, because that's what I wanted to do when he said it. But, be patient with me. The Lord's still working with me. So it is showing, and I think they're showing us this because it's showing that Sophia is the new breed rising up. She's going to be the next prophet. So I truly believe that. And let's talk about Charity. Charity is got a huge baby bump now. She's still ignoring Kevin, and Kevin had to inform Adrian Miller, the homeless coordinator, that in lieu of current situation, they can no longer offer the space to him. And he was understanding. He said, but we can still be friends, right? He said, sure, just not here. So what they did was wind up meeting in a park, and they were discussing Kevin's marital problems. He was confiding in Adrian about current problems with Charity. He doesn't come out and say, I was looking at this gay app. He just says, whatever, I was looking at my phone. So Adrian kind of just comes out and asks, well, are you cheating on her? And he's like, no, I don't want to be that man. I don't cheat on her. And he equates this to a story from his youth where his father would go out every day after dinner, and then eventually he just never came back. And he wants to be better than that, and he wants to be a good father and a good wife. But he's obviously still struggling with his same-sex attraction. And when things get a little too comfortable, too close between him and Adrian, he abruptly ends the conversation and says he's got to leave. So that pretty much covered the episode. But before I go, I do want to address the conspiracy theories and asked about 3 questions, and I'm out. So, the top 3 conspiracy theories were Bishop and Mavis were once lovers. Lady May despises Grace because of the special bond that Bishop and Grace have with one another. And Grace is Mavis's love child. Those are the top supported. The other one that got high score was all the above. So I'm about to read the rest of the theories. And a couple of them can be kind of knocked off the list because we know they don't work. Mavis is systematically exposing all the Greenleaf secrets. She's playing puppet master. Most people agree with that. And Faith did not commit suicide, but it was a murder made to look like a suicide. Now, I kind of believe that one because I don't get what she just walked in the water and drowned. Like, I don't even get how she committed suicide. It wasn't a hanging, it wasn't an OD. It's, you know, that's unsaid. So I would need more information, but I kind of feel like, you know, the first episode, they stop at this lake, and that's where Faith was supposed to have been found or what have you. So I kind of believe it was a murder made to look like a suicide. Robert has been blackmailing both Lady May and Bishop for years. Isabel is coming back to get Noah and put Gigi in her place. I doubt that's going to happen because this is really not Gigi's issue. This is a Noah issue. And, you know, basically Isabel just needs to acknowledge that he's not the man for her. Carissa's one big mistake was having an abortion. Like, most people support the fact that they think she had an affair. But, you know, they've made it a point of stressing that she has been eternally faithful to Jacob despite his infidelities. And he even questions her in episode 6 when they get that indecent proposal from Greg. You know, have you ever cheated on me? You know, so if she had cheated on him in the past and this was the thing he was holding against her, he wouldn't have asked her that question in that episode. So I don't believe his infidelity infidelity issue. Or some say that she had an abortion. That's quite possible. Grace's daughter belongs to Noah. This is not a good conspiracy theory because the time frames don't add up. It was 20 years ago when Grace left, and Sophia is 16. So obviously it couldn't be Noah's daughter. Melise, the head maid, was actually working for Pastor Skanks. Now that is quite possible because we also learned that when Jacob went to see Pastor Skanks to ask for the job, that was one of the how that actual questioning ended. It's like, you're not coming back for that girl. And Jacob's like, what girl? And he's like, you know, Alexia, because she's a member here. So it makes you wonder, did Skank send her that way, or when she came over, she just ran her mouth and he's encouraging the lawsuit? Skanks is behind some of these things that are going on because he wants to see the demise of Calvary. So that's interesting. Yeah, that is what I have. We've gone through everything, and my questions, I do want to give you my 3 questions. So again, do you believe that Alexia and Bishop were having an affair at one time? Robert, is he suicidal, or what do you believe was happening? Is he simply looking to reach out because that's the only family friends that he has? You know, is this just another level of his brokenness? And then, you know, can the relationship between Grace and Bishop be repaired? Tell me what your thoughts are. Please share. Please engage. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. I'm trying to build up my membership, so subscribe, Please share the video with other people. I'm asking everyone to vote. Give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down. You know how it goes. You can leave me comments. I will respond. I want to thank you for your support. I hope you enjoyed this recap, and you have a great day. Until next episode, bye.